Hey everybody, this is Robbie with Robbie's Reptiles. Today I wanted to talk about a video that I made about a year ago, where I said that I would never vend a reptile show, and then I gave all the reasons why I would never vend a reptile show, such as the risk of contaminating disease, how most of my sales are online and I don't really need to. The reason that I made the first video in the first place was the internet loves strong opinions. Say if you saw a video titled, Shrek is a pretty good movie, as opposed to a title like Shrek is the greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time, which one's going to make you click on it more? Hence the title, Why I'll Never Vend Reptile Shows. But then within the next 6 months, I had planned to make a video about how I tried it and explaining how I see the benefits, going back and comparing to my negatives, etc., etc. So I've actually vended 3 shows now. First, I vended twice at Leander. Once was sharing a table with my friend, the Anonymous Gecko, here in Austin, Texas. And then the second time was by myself. I actually had my own table at Leander, or the Austin, Texas Reptile Show. And of course, that time that I brought someone to help me the entire day, filmed the entire process of being there, vending, buying all the supplies in order to vend, everything like that, going over kind of the cost breakdown, all of the footage from that corrupted. So I was kind of SOL. But recently, I vended at the first ever San Antonio Reptile Show, and today I wanted to talk about my experience doing that and whether I've changed my mind or not. All right, so we are done setting up for the show. Over here is the beautiful driftwood that we've collected, and then food for anybody that might want it whenever they're buying a gecko or anything like that. Some stickers, see if anybody would just take those for free. This is going to be our display enclosure for Thalia and Nikki. I put a bit of work into it. I think it's pretty nice, and I think it would just be really pretty to look at. I might try to go and get a little tiny LED to shove on the top of it, but we'll see. Some displays for geckos here, more geckos along here. This is where all of the kind of pet quality is probably going to be. And then here is pretty interesting, kind of a gamble. I'm going to see if someone will buy like a mystery gecko in person or something like that. I think that's a cool idea. And then that means that this replica of a mystery box is a write-off instead of just something I wanted. TLDR, I definitely have changed my mind, but I still don't think that reptile shows are 100% for me. So I wanted to talk about that in today's video, featuring Thalia, because she's my favorite gecko. So this show in San Antonio had never been done before. There's never been a reptile show in San Antonio, at least the big one. The closest one was in McQueenie, which is about 45 minutes away from me, kind of in the San Marcos area. And usually that one's really snake heavy. It seems to just be a big snake type of show. In the Austin show, it's always been a little smaller, not the biggest turnaround, but this San Antonio show was going to be big. Before the show even started, there were over 1,000 pre-sale tickets sold, not including the fact that there were 3 or 350 VIP tickets alone. So this is going to be a really big show with a really great turnout. Quite literally the entire time, it was shoulder-to-shoulder traffic, completely jam-packed, which was awesome for us and awesome for the other vendors there. In the initial video where I talked about vending and why I didn't want to vend, I had a lot of people open up and share their heartfelt experiences with vending, explaining how there's nothing better than seeing the look of a family first holding, let's say, a Crested Gecko, and seeing that spark light up in their eyes and just seeing their wonder and being able to explain to people this passion that we have for breeding Crested Geckos, how great of pets they are, everything like that. And I have to say that commenter is 100% true. There was nothing more rewarding than showing people this passion that I have and showing people all the beautiful geckos that I had and any color you can get. A little kid walking up and being like, I want the densest gecko you have. So then we just hold thick our biggest gecko, and he's like, that's the densest gecko here, right? Just like little sweet, fun moments like that. I can really see the emotional impact or the more sentimental aspect of vending these reptile shows. You have a genuine connection with the customers, which is something that any online sale will never be able to achieve. Not even any YouTube videos that anyone could make could ever achieve the level of connection you can have with your customers like you can at a reptile show. The only time you can ever have an even better connection with your customer is if they're visiting your facility that I have here, which I've done a couple of times and I love doing. I love doing in-person sales. I love being able to educate my customers and educate people at the show how to take care of them, how to breed them, how you can maybe start turning this into a living or a side project with you and your kids. It was awesome to be able to have that intimate connection with my customers and to be able to really, if you will, vet the customers buying the geckos to make sure that the geckos are going to go to a good home. Now, of course, let's address the reasons why I was so concerned about vending a reptile show. So in order to combat those risks, we of course brought hand sanitizer. We only had 1 or 2 geckos that we allowed people to hold unless they were legitimately already purchasing or in the process of purchasing one of the geckos. We would let them hold that gecko they were purchasing. I did go all out, and I actually brought my pet Shingleback to the show to be a display animal. Nobody, of course, got to touch her or hold her. Only I was able to handle her or hold her, or my wife. But she was a great attraction, and really, I would say, was an amazing addition to the table. In terms of overall sales or profits, or however you want to word it, we did very well. If you want to know about all the nitty-gritty of the expenses that had to go into it, the marketing and advertising that we did, and then the actual net profit we ended up with, that is a video that I have made for my members only. So if you're interested in the business aspect of Crested Gecko breeding and vending at shows and stuff, that's going to be a members only video, which you can click down below to consider joining. The conclusion that I've kind of come to is they have a time and place. Do I think that I'm going to become a reptile vending enthusiast and be vending at every show around the country? Absolutely not. I don't think that my animals would thrive in that sort of situation. That's not the life or the career that I want to lead with Crested Geckos. What I'm hoping that I can strike a good balance of is doing all the local shows in my area. So that would be the San Antonio show, the Austin show, the McQueenie show, as well as the Houston show and the Dallas show. That would be a lot of shows a year, but they're all within about 2.5 hours from where I live. And I'm more than comfortable with doing that sort of trip. Because another thing to consider, if I was doing something like Tinley or doing California, the Anaheim show, I would have to ship or drive there. And if I drove, it's a 24-hour drive just to California, 18-hour drive to Tinley if you don't stop the entire time. And I just recently did the drive from Illinois to Texas. Not fun. If I was given the opportunity to vend at Tinley at least once, I would definitely try it. But past that, it's just not me to try and do shows all around the country, especially on a regular basis. So I think my conclusion is shows are great. It's awesome to be able to show people the love that we have and the passion that we have for reptiles. It's incredibly beneficial to introduce others to this hobby. There's absolutely tons of merit in doing so and doing that. I prefer to do my online sales. I do love interacting with my fans or interacting with my customers in person at shows. I think that's such a great and wholesome experience. But at the end of the day, I don't think that I'm comfortable doing anything outside of the state of Texas. It was a great experience. I knew that I had to do it at least once. I expected to be doing it a lot sooner to kind of have the dichotomy of the two videos. It was a one-of-a-kind experience and something that you don't get often. So I'm very glad that I did it, and I think I'm going to continue doing so locally within Texas.